The attitudes that people in the subcontinent have towards English have a lot to do with the fact that this part of the world has been under the British domination for a long time. Some questions which have played an important role in forming people's attitude towards English in the subcontinent include whether or not it is a South Asian language or whether it is a language which has been imported from some other part of the world. So whether this English which is used in the subcontinent is a local language, whether people can identify with it or not. Is it mainly an important additional language for the region, or is it replacing the indigenous languages? Is it causing a threat to the indigenous languages? Is it in any way causing harm to the aspirations of the people? For example, is knowing English giving some advantage to a certain group of people, and not knowing English is putting some people at a disadvantage? So all these issues play a role in helping people build their attitudes towards English in any part of the world and also in the subcontinent. We cannot deny the fact that English has always had a forceful presence in the subcontinent. A proof of this importance of English or its forceful presence is the attention paid to it in the constitutions and several other policy documents in different countries of the subcontinent, including India, Pakistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, etc. So in the Indian constitution, even a date was specified, 26 January 1965, as the date on which the entire working of the government will change from Hindi to English. Similarly, in Pakistan, the 1959 constitution and the 1973 constitution gave a lot of importance to Urdu and claimed that soon Urdu will replace English. And then there has also been different language controversies in many countries, especially India and Pakistan, vis-a-vis the use of English or privileging of English. However, all the attempts to phase out English in different countries of the subcontinent have ended in failure. Instead of putting an end to the use of English in these countries, what we see is an increase in the depth and range of English in several countries of the subcontinent, including India and Pakistan, which means that the domains of use of English have increased, and also the levels of society, different social groups, socio-economic groups which use English in different societies in the subcontinent have also increased. It seems that people in this part of the world are suffering from linguistic schizophrenia, which means the attitudes that people show towards English in the subcontinent are characterized by contradictions and controversies. So there are three categories of opinion. One is the Westernization technological progress view, according to which we need English desperately to be technologically advanced and to compete with the Western countries, Western nations, etc. And then we have this absolute rejection view, according to which English should be completely banned, prohibited, and the countries should only use their own regional languages. And then there's this neutral position, which in a way acknowledges the importance of knowing English and also the fact that the unique circumstances of use of English in the subcontinent have given it its own character. And it is actually this view which has led to the acceptance of different varieties of English and sub-varieties of English. So we have these split kind of opinions regarding English in the subcontinent, and they are characterized with several contradictions and controversies. the question of the situation of English in the subcontinent, again we have two positions. One is the position that descriptivists and constructivists take. These people, or people who have this point of view, focus on the comparison, contrast between the subcontinent English, South Asian English, and the native American or British English. So they believe that this awareness between these differences is very important for people to learn. And then we have this functionalist neutral position, according to which what is important is the pragmatic functions that English performs for the people in the subcontinent, and these functions are linked with its unique cultural circumstances, the unique cultural circumstances of the subcontinent. And like the positive, the neutral attitude, the people with neutral attitude towards English, this functionalist neutral position vis-a-vis English again has contributed to the acceptance of different varieties of English in the subcontinent. Now, another question is which model of English should be used in the subcontinent, or which English should be used as a model for the subcontinent English. We see that there's a wide gap between the perceived norm and the performance of users. For example, many people in the subcontinent believe that they should adhere to the norms of the native English. So they look down upon the local Englishes, the subcontinent Englishes, and seem to favor the native English. But when we look at the actual use of the English, it is obvious, it is very clear that their English is not comparable with the native English. They have the English that they use has its own character, which is unique to the circumstances of the subcontinent. So we see that there is a wide gap between the perceived norms, the English which is perceived as a norm, and the actual English which is used in the subcontinent. And there are many people who look down upon the local English, and they think it is a mark of being uneducated and falling short of the norm that they conceive as the model, that is the native English. So those who use the norms, who use the native English as the model, they are perceived as snobs and show-offs. So we have again these contradictory views. On one hand, there are the people who believe in following the norms of the native English speakers and use the inner circle English as the model. And on the other hand, there are people who look at those who use the inner circle English as a model as snobs and show-offs. And then on the other hand, we have people who look down upon their own English and believe that the English of the native speakers should be taken as the norm. But gradually we see that there is some acceptance of the variety of English used in the subcontinent, and people are now all right about identifying themselves with the subcontinent English. There are many people who are happy about being identified with South Asian English or the subcontinent English, and they have recognized this variety of English as a legal, legitimate variety of English. And there's a lot of push not only from the local people in the subcontinent but also from world English scholars for using exocentric norms, the norms of the educated English from the subcontinent region, instead of looking at the inner circle English or the native English as the model.